Hey everybody, today I want to talk about two albums by the band Led Zeppelin. And for those of you who've been following my YouTube channel and my website, needlemeetsvinyl.com, you probably know that for a long time now I've been looking for an excellent copy of Houses of the Holy to put on my website. And I finally have one. This happens to be it. This album was released in 1973. It's probably one of Led Zeppelin's best known albums. Probably this album, Led Zeppelin IV, is indeed their most famous and best known album. But I have to say that I really love Houses of the Holy. And probably for like the last 4 months, I've been really trying to hunt down some excellent copies of this and some clean copies of this. It seems like it's really hard to find clean copies of this Led Zeppelin album, just because I think people love it so much. And so the people who originally bought it in 1973 and all the years kind of close to 73, they played it so much, so a lot of those copies are just worn out, or they weren't taken care of, or that kind of thing. So finding a really clean copy is a little bit hard. And there's Bobby the cat. I don't know if you could see him, but he was just off screen there. Maybe you can see him, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, finding a clean copy of this album has been a bit difficult, but I finally did it. I actually got my hands on, I think, like 4 of the pressings that I think sound the best and that were pretty clean, and this is the one that beat out all of those 4. Now let's talk about this pressing of House of the Holy. So the reason, in my opinion, that this one sounds so excellent is that because on both sides it has 2 really important things. So in the dead wax here, which you won't be able to see, but you'll just have to trust me, it says it's stamped sterling, and then it has an etching right to the right of it that says RL. So sterling is Sterling Sound. That's where this was mastered, and RL is Robert Ludwig. And of course, Robert Ludwig is just probably the most famous mastering engineer, and pretty much everything that he worked on sounds amazing, especially all of his Led Zeppelin stuff. And we don't want Bobby to step on this, so we're going to move it over here. So Robert Ludwig, when he worked on Led Zeppelin albums, they tend to sound amazing. For example, like Led Zeppelin II is his most famous record that he ever really worked on as far as what he did. He had that really amazing hot stamper. And if you don't know about that, you should Google it, because it's a really fascinating tale of that record and what he did with it. But he worked on a bunch of Led Zeppelin albums, and this one happens to be one of the ones that he worked on as well. And it just sounds absolutely stunning. And this pressing is just brilliant. And both sides, by the way, have Sterling RL on there. And this is, like I said, in absolutely brilliant condition. And it just sounds phenomenal. Now, this album has a bunch of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs, including the first song, The Song Remains the Same, which absolutely, it just kicks so hard. I think of all of Led Zeppelin's albums, this album is my favorite when it comes to the drums. John Bonham is just one of the best rock and roll drummers of all time, if not the best rock and roll drummer of all time. And on this album, he really shines. And granted, he shines on all of Led Zeppelin's albums, but on this album, for some reason, there's just a little extra something, especially on this pressing, and especially on songs like The Song Remains the Same, Over the Hills and Far Away, and The Ocean. Those songs all absolutely, his drumming is just, it's like a whole nother dimension that he's coming from with his drumming, and it sounds so good on this pressing. And by the way, that's not to take away from everything else on this pressing, like the amazing guitar work from Jimmy Page, the always fantastic vocals from Robert Plant, and of course, John Paul Jones playing bass and just other instruments throughout. He is just a super musician. They all are. So this is just one of Led Zeppelin's best albums, and this pressing in particular is just phenomenal. So if you are looking for a copy of Houses of the Holy, and look no further, because this is the one for you. So go to my website, needlemeetsvinyl.com. Check this one out. I did a whole write-up on this so you can have a little bit more information about this particular pressing. And check it out, because this one will go very, very quickly. So how's the Holy? Check it out. I'm also excited that I finally got another one of these up on the website, and this, of course, is Led Zeppelin IV. And this is probably hands down their most famous album. It has Stairway to Heaven on it, it has Rock and Roll, it has Black Dog, has When the Levee Breaks, just absolutely classic Led Zeppelin songs. And this pressing, like the one I had before, has a very important marking on it on both sides. And this one happens to have, on side one, it says Porky in the dead wax. And on side two, it says Pecco Duck. Now, those are very, very important markings for Led Zeppelin IV. And in my opinion, those markings usually, almost always, and there have been exceptions, they almost always mean that the record's going to sound absolutely phenomenal. My own personal copy in my collection has these exact markings. And in fact, actually has this exact, it's in this exact pressing. This one just sounds unbelievable, and it's so dead quiet. And I'm sure a lot of you who've probably been on the search for this album know that there are a lot of quiet moments on this album, like the intro to Stairway to Heaven. And on this one, it is so dead quiet. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And I've gone through so many of these pressings to try to find A, quiet ones, because that's very important, and B, to find just amazing sounding ones that have the right pressing marks on both sides in the dead wax. And this is the winner of all of those. And by the way, that brings up a good point, because I've talked about this before, so if you're annoyed by this, just fast forward or watch another video or whatever. But I feel like I should bring this up, because it is the new year. Maybe I have some new people on here who don't really know exactly what I do with these records. But when you go to my website, needlemeetsvinyl.com, the whole point of the website is to bring you the best sounding pressings of particular albums. And the way I do that is I get multiple copies that have multiple different pressings to find the best sounding ones. So like for this Led Zeppelin IV, for example, I think I've had, at this point, I've had over 20 different pressings of this. And granted, all 20 of those don't sound phenomenal. Of those 20, I think there was about 4, actually maybe even less, I think maybe like 3 that really met all of the requirements for, in my opinion, what a great sounding album is. And of course, the top requirement has to be that it's a very, very quiet and clean album. So, when you're going to my website and you buy these albums, the reason that they're a little bit more expensive than what you would find in your local record shop is because of a number of reasons. A, you know you're getting a really clean record, and B, you know you're getting the best sounding pressing that you can get. Obviously, it's just my opinion, but it's an opinion that's shared by a lot of other people as well. If you ever want to do some diving on the internet and find out about the best pressings of records, you can definitely do that for yourself, and you'll probably find that a lot of quote-unquote the best pressings are the ones that I tend to talk about on this website. Because, truth be told, a lot of people out there know what sounds excellent, and they know what the good pressings are, and a lot of the times I agree with those people. There are some exceptions to that that I find online. I'll do a listening session for an album and find that I actually found a pressing that I think is a little bit better than what the majority of the people on the internet or just anywhere else I would have to say. But most of the time, I pretty much stick to the lines of what people think are the best sounding pressings. So that's really what my website, Needle Meets Vinyl, is all about. It's all about the best sounding records in absolutely fantastic condition. So what it really is the whole point of the website is to save you some time and save you some money, really, because if you were to go out and do this on your own to find 20 different pressings of Led Zeppelin IV, it would cost a lot of money. Granted, of course, I'm spending that money as well, but this has been something I've been doing for the last, at least the last 5 years, where I've been picking up as many copies as I can as I go along. And it's a passion for me because I just love to hear different pressings of all of my favorite albums. So it's really fun for me to go out and try to find these best pressings that I can. So I literally spend so much time on the internet and going to my local record shops and record shops in other towns trying to find as many copies of certain albums as I can. You should see, sometimes when I come home, my wife will be like, wow, how many records did you buy today? Because I'll come in with just a huge stack of records. And I gotta say, it's an absolute passion for me. I love it. It's so much fun to do, just because I love music so much, and because it's almost like, it feels like it's almost like a mystery game or something, because you're trying to find that needle in the haystack. And that's what Needle Meets Vinyl is all about. So there was my little summary of what my website is about, and hope that makes sense to you. So if you're interested in picking up Led Zeppelin IV or Led Zeppelin Houses of the Holy, you can go to my website, needlemeetsvinyl.com, and you can pick up both of these albums, or only one of them if you want to. Also, there are some other Led Zeppelin albums on the website at the moment. There is a really, really nice copy of Physical Graffiti, which is their double album. And there's also an amazing copy, and when I say amazing, I mean like I got it when it was sealed, and it's in absolutely brilliant shape, of their live album. So go to the website, needlemeetsvinyl.com, check out the Led Zeppelin records, check out the other records on there as well, and maybe you'll find something that you like and you will enjoy for a long, long time. So that's it for now, and we'll talk to you soon. So bye for now.